Cherish the sea, respect the sea. Don't pollute the sea, it provides for you and me. Careful how we use our oceans, protect the sea. Let's conserve for future generations, cherish the sea. Planning ways to use the ocean, cherish the sea. To cater to the needs of everyone, protect the sea. Cherish the sea, respect the sea. Take care of the sea, it's a blue economy. This message is brought to you by the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project, a project of the OECS funded by the Global Environment Facility through the World Bank. CROP, championing resilient oceans for prosperity. For more information, visit our webpage at oecs.org/en/crop.
Hello, I'm Vincent Lewis, Communications Consultant for the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project. The Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project, CROP, is a project of the OECS funded by the Global Environment Facility, GEF, through the World Bank. It seeks to strengthen ocean governance as well as coastal and marine spatial planning in the participating member states of Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the wider OECS. As part of the World Bank's policy on social safeguards, a Grievance Redress mechanism, GRM, was developed for the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project. Here to discuss the Grievance Redress mechanism for the CROP is Social Safeguards Specialist, Michelle Fromovich. Michelle Fromovich is a professional urban planner and project manager with over 25 years of experience in Canada, the Caribbean, and across the world. He holds a Master of Urban Planning from McGill University, Canada, and a graduate certificate in Disaster Risk Reduction from the University of Newcastle, Australia. He's a full member of the Canadian Institute of Planners, Ontario Professional Planners Institute, and the Project Management Institute. Mr. Fromovich is contributing to the design of coastal master plans and marine spatial plans for 5 OECS member states, as well as a regional marine spatial planning framework for the wider OECS as part of the Dillon consultant team. Mr. Fromovich, perhaps you can start by telling us, what is a grievance redress mechanism?
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about a grievance redress mechanism, or GRM, as I'll be referring to it. And as the name suggests, it is a set of procedures to ensure that any grievances or concerns or issues are addressed by the project in a timely and satisfactory manner.
Why is a grievance redress mechanism necessary in the implementation of the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project?
CROP is an extensive project that has an ambitious goal of transforming economies to achieve blue economy goals. And as such, issues arise during the life of a project. And so it's important that the individuals affected by a project, whether they're working directly for it or living in a community that's touched by it, have somewhere to go to express any concerns that they are confident will be addressed in a timely manner.
On the issue of concerns, the Dillon team held a series of consultations with stakeholders across the 5 participating member states. Perhaps you can speak to the importance of these consultations and the extent to which the views and the perspectives of stakeholders will form part of the draft coastal master plans and marine spatial plans.
So the work that we are doing as part of CROP involves the preparation of a series of plans that look at changes that are to take place over a 15-year period. These changes are going to affect the lives of individuals, of businesses, of persons across the five countries. Because they touch their lives, the individuals whose lives are affected need to have a say in how the project is designed and how the project is implemented. So stakeholder consultation is an essential tool for us as professionals to be able to hear, listen, understand the perspectives, the needs, and the concerns of individuals that ultimately can be reflected in how we design our plans and identify priorities to be recommended to go forward.
Right. Without getting into too much detail, perhaps you can tell us To what extent will the views of stakeholders influence the final coastal master plans and marine spatial plans?
Without going into specifics, I can tell you that when we hear the views of individuals expressed, whether it's during a Zoom call, whether we receive an email, we do very much take those concerns seriously. And wherever feasible, we introduce into our work, whether it's thinking through a policy differently or designing a project recommendation in a particular way, we do take those views seriously, and they certainly influence the final product. Our plans, when they are done, will look very differently than if we had received no consultation over the life of our work.
Right. Tell us, Mr. Fromovich, what are some of the key elements of the grievance redress mechanism developed for the crop?
So a GRM has certain critical components. One is an understanding of how the process works. So communicating it through a means like this is important. Being able to know who to go to. There have to be individuals attached to the GRM. So in this case, having an email address, a phone number, a mailing address, some way of contacting an individual. A time frame is important, knowing that your complaint won't be considered in perpetuity forever, that there is a time limit, and a way to appeal a decision that you consider to be unfair, or to appeal at a point where you feel it's taken too long. And being able to know that your process has been, your concern has been documented and the process has been put in writing. Those are some of the key elements.
We know that Dominica has the largest population of indigenous people in the OECS. In developing the GRM for the crop, was any special consideration given to the indigenous Kalinago people of Dominica?
Absolutely. An important part of developing the procedures is to try to align them with existing cultures and norms and standards. In the case of the Kalinago community, the GRM is set up so that the first point of contact is council and chief and the office of council. So the intention is, if there is a concern arising out of the community, that individuals can turn first and foremost to their own council and chief, which in turn are able to engage with the project leaders in order to resolve the issue.
What are some of the peculiarities of, say, the Kalinago people?
Well, for one thing, they are geographically distinct in terms of their location. And there are different expectations in terms of how their issues will be responded to, and being able to work closely with your own council, your own chief, and being able to follow norms of communication that you're accustomed to are important. There are a number of other legal issues that separate them, but at a practical level, there are certain norms and standards around communication and culture that are best handled by those most familiar with them.
How satisfied is the Dillon team with the level of participation and the level of consultation and feedback from the Kalinago community?
Well, the big caveat on this project and projects around the world is the impact that COVID has had on the ability to consult effectively. Our work, particularly in the last 10 months, has relied on virtual communication. We don't only rely on Zoom calls, the intimate Zoom calls, we do engage with WhatsApp in terms of one-on-ones. So under those circumstances, we have been quite satisfied. We've been able to engage in person prior to COVID, and over the past 10 months via Zoom and WhatsApp. So all things considered, the level of engagement was satisfactory.
Tell us, what is the procedure for addressing grievances under the crop?
So at present, during the life of the crop project, individuals can go to the OECS website, and there is a form to be filled out. And that form then will be handled by OECS to respond in a timely fashion. There's also an email address if that process or the outcome of that process is not satisfactory, and that's an appeals process. If going to the OECS website to fill out a form is not feasible or not comfortable, there are also mechanisms for approaching what we call the national focal points in each of the participating countries in crop, either in person or in writing, or by email or by phone, and engaging through national focal points. And as mentioned earlier, in the case of the Kalinago community, working with your local office of council, working with chief and council, or working through the Ministry of Kalinago Affairs. So there are a number of mechanisms, but the most straightforward one is to go to the OECS website and fill out the grievance redress mechanism form.
The current GRM is developed specifically for the crop. However, the project comes to an end in December of 2021. How will grievances be addressed during the implementation of coastal and marine spatial plans?
The GRM, as it stands now, was designed specifically for the CROP project. As of January 1st, 2022, the expectation is that GRMs will be handled nationally by what are called National Ocean Governance Committees, each of which is meant to be assigned a social specialist to handle GRM issues. Those mechanisms are yet to be put in place in some cases, but the expectation is that between now and December 31st, 2021, a GRM will be established following similar procedures and principles and tools as is the current one, but would be handled nationally.
Tell us, Mr. Fromovich, from your experience as an urban planner and a social safeguard specialist, how significant is this undertaken by the OECS?
I am an urban planner by profession, as was explained earlier, and integral to the profession of planning are elements of consultation and transparency. And the GRM plays both of those roles. It is an essential tool in ensuring that people have trust in a project. If you don't have the trust of stakeholders, they are not going to engage, and your project has a much higher likelihood of failure. So knowing that there is a mechanism for expressing frustrations or concerns is essential. And of course, it plays a very transparent function in the project. That if, including the fact if individuals want to know more, the GRM is meant to be a vehicle for exploring more about the project that you feel is not being shared with you. So transparency and trust and accountability and governance are essential tools, and GRM helps satisfy those.
Given the range of your experience and the wide range of projects that you've worked on, how would you grade the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape project?
Well, from the point of view of building in explicit mechanisms to engage with a wide range of stakeholders, it rates very high. Stakeholder consultation was defined explicitly at the point of asking for a proposal from various consultants, and OECS in particular has been very strong about ensuring that the consultation occurs even with big challenges like COVID. So it has been very impressive in being designed to achieve precisely that goal. Proof will be in the pudding over the next 15 years as it gets implemented. But what we've seen over the last over 2 years in developing CROP and implementing it during its lifespan, the role of consultation has been, I would say, front and center in terms of a key project component.
And finally, Mr. Fromovich, how can a grievance redress mechanism enhance project delivery?
Well, the kinds of projects that we work on depend on individuals in order to succeed over time. And as I mentioned earlier, if you don't have the trust of individuals who are going to be essential for implementing these projects, then the projects will typically fail or at least come far from succeeding. So a GRM, a place to go where you can expect results when you have a complaint or an issue, is absolutely essential. So in that sense, we consider it vital to the success, the long-term success of the project. On a practical note, a GRM is also set up to avoid having to go to courts to resolve disputes. Nobody wants to go to court. It's a sign of failure from a dispute resolution point of view. So the GRM is meant to divert 99% of grievances from having to hit the courts.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Fromovich, for your knowledge and insight on the grievance redress mechanism for the CROP and GRM in general. We encourage all persons to access the grievance redress mechanism at oecs.org/grievance-redress to file a complaint. The CROP grievance redress mechanism is accessible until December 2021, when the project ends. In addition, any person or group not satisfied with the manner in which a grievance was handled can appeal to Appeal, Grievance Redress Outcome, Head, Portfolio Management Unit, Commission, Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, Mont Fortune, PO Box 179, Castries, St. Lucia, or email grievanceappeal@oecs.int. CROP, championing resilient oceans for prosperity.
Cherish the sea, respect the sea, don't pollute the sea, it provides for you and me. Careful how we use our oceans, protect the sea. Let's conserve for future generations. Cherish the sea. Planning ways to use the ocean. Cherish the sea. To cater to the needs of everyone. Protect the sea. Cherish the sea. Respect the sea. Take care of the sea. It's a blue economy. This message is brought to you by the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project, a project of the OECS funded by the Global Environment Facility through the World Bank. CROP, championing resilient oceans for prosperity. For more information, visit our webpage at oecs.org/en/crop.